Hello and welcome to my highlights for the Bahrain or the Vietnam Grand Prix even. Round 3 ERS T4 Tier 4. My quali was eventful to say the least. It was actually a wet session and I didn't manage to actually complete a full lap using hot lap, meaning that I only got P10 for the grid. So going into this, I wasn't very optimistic. Coming into this, I thought I was going to be able to get like a P6 at best. I figured that I probably had the pace to definitely climb the order, but given that this track is notoriously quite punishing for mistakes, I figured that it might not go that way. Anyway, for the race start, I was ready to start, and yep, the lights held for a while. Quickly short shifted 3 ERS enabled to try and get a good start. I looked to the outside of Tiger and went down the inside, brake quite early just to avoid damage, as you see in front. Just kind of slotting back into P10. Matt went around my outside, so fair, but I kept my position out of turn 1, so I wasn't upset. I felt like I could have got some positions out of turn 1, but I was happy with just keeping my position. But yeah, continuing down the straight, still using Rich Mix ERS to see if I can get a run on anybody. ERS, Matt and Tygon up in front. Tygon running around. I switched to the inside, try and get a look, but nothing going on. My teammate up in front in P7 lost a couple positions off the start. He qualified P5 because he got an illegal overtake, so lost a couple positions that way. I got quite a bad exit out of that little hairpin there, and that was a running theme throughout the whole race. That was quite a bad corner for me, and especially my setup also compromised my straight line speed quite a lot, as you kind of see here. So it meant that later on that affected most of the race because I lost a lot of time through the exit into the straight and the straight itself. But anyway, back to lap 1. I'm still behind P10. I am on hards because I was attempting to do a hard to medium strategy. So I wasn't too bad. I was happy to keep my position considering everyone else was on the softer compound. But through the S's, I felt I had quite a lot of speed compared to the cars in front of me, and I had to let off quite a lot just to avoid contact. As you see, my teammate and Technovin going side by side in front. ERS Matt almost loses the car, and Technovin actually pits. So I gained a position just purely from that. In front of me, ERS good Matt actually hits the wall, loses a bit of front wing, so I knew that going into lap 2, and now in lap 2 I'm still, you can see, losing a lot of time down the straight, but now knowing that Matt has wing damage through the S's, I knew that I'd be a lot faster, so I just kind of hold my line, see him go line, turn in quite early, straight down the inside, and it was a nice clean overtake in the middle of the S, just keeping on the line, and that was on other positions. That's P8, but now I'm pretty sure the safety car actually came out, which meant that I was in P8. So yeah, no, that was quite good. Yeah, but so now moving on to the second lap of the safety car, a lot of people pit, like I was saying about NARM and the damage you can get there. But that actually promotes me into, I think it was P4, maybe P5. But yeah, so straight away I've had just a great start from just avoiding damage, just keeping my race clean. And yeah, I got up into P4. So now we're about to start the restart. I was just kind of looking to keep my position again. I can see Oscar, J-Marks and Smoks ahead. Me, Oscar and Smoks all on hards, whereas J-Marks is kind of the outlier on mediums. So I was just attempting to get a clean start here, not get jumped by the runners behind me on mediums, on the better compound. Use a bit of ERS out of the thing. Didn't get the best of restarts, didn't get a bad restart, locking up a little bit there, and Mnemonics almost collects me from behind as he messes up his braking point and goes wide, pushing Joshua and him into a side-by-side battle and giving me a fairly decent gap to the behind to Joshua. So he was already out of the DRS range. Not the best exit. Again, my straight line speed was not great with this setup, so I was kind of just waiting. Anyway, now we move on to lap 10, and here in front of me you can see J-Marks and Smoks fighting quite a lot, and I'm kind of just waiting behind them, and then suddenly, I don't know, I just lose the car through that corner and hit the wall, and I was very, very lucky to not get damage there. You can see me check immediately, but while I was very, very lucky not to get damaged, it was still good. It did hinder me a little bit, because as you can see on lap 11, Joshua is now all over me down the main straight. He's a lot faster, or not the main straight, even down the straight. But again, I was slow through this corner the entire race, and the hards just weren't doing me any favors really, especially with my fuel load as well. I had a +2 laps there, and then my straight line speed. I'm trying to use rich mix and ERS to stay in front. I don't have DRS to Smox in front, and you can just see Joshua gaining and gaining. So I go defensive to try and hold the inside line, and Joshua just has so much closing speed, he just hits me. I'm not, at the time I didn't know if I'd accidentally like brake checked him or anything, but just looking back at that, I don't feel like I did anything wrong. So I think that's just an unfortunate incident. But yeah, that meant that Joshua soon quickly fell behind. So now moving on to lap 14, you can see Oscar and Smox of both pits. So right now I was in P2, and this race from P10 I was feeling really good at this point. I was thinking I could get hopefully a podium from this point in the race. So here I pit lap 14 onto a set of mediums to take me to the end. See, I go down to lean mix through the pit, but out of the pit I think I come out in P6, no, P5. So I come out P5, about 3 seconds behind Milky, and this is actually my fastest lap of the race. So here, gear 2 there, take a bit of curb, wide on the exit to get the best run. Gear 4, back down into gear 3, take a little bit of curb there. You can, if you take curb there, it's faster, but it's just a bit risky in the race. Down into this straight, good exit, on the DRS quite early, or ERS even. 8th gear, down into gear 2 for this little chicane. Gear 1 to get that extra rotation. Back into gear 2, gear 3. Not the best corner, not bad in the road. Good exit. Just down the straight, rich mix, overtake, engaged, fairly standard. So I'm pretty, yeah, this was probably my best lap. Yeah, this was my best lap. So it was a couple laps, so the mediums got a bit worn in. Anyway, down into this heavy braking zone. It's very easy to lock up. Gear 1, you can see the lapped car in front of me. Good exit. I hold gear 7 in this straight. The lap car lets me pass. Down into gear 2 for this corner, just to make sure that I get turned in fast enough. And through this S, I always hold gear 6, go flat out through that corner, down into gear 5, and then down into gear 4. Do I go up into 5? I do. Back into 4, hold 4 into this corner, because it's very easy to lock up here and also lose traction in this traction zone. Luckily I don't. Keep the car on, accelerate as soon as possible out of that corner, and that was a 140 dead. So that was my fastest lap of the session. Now moving on to lap 22, you can see I'm still maintaining about the same 2-second gap behind Milky, because I was just managing my fuel and stuff. But here I decided to start pushing as it's nearing the end of the race, so I run rich mix instead of lean through sector 3, and you can just see the delta time just crawl down as I just like massively close the gap through sector 3. Milky must have had damage, I'm pretty sure he did, because I just closed about like 2 seconds a second to him just through one sector. And you can see here the gap started at about 2.3, it's now 1.2 and closing. Oscar actually pits at the time, so I was now in the podium positions with a strategy, so I was feeling very confident here, and I thought I could overtake Milky here, and I do move on lap 23 into this corner, practically pushing Milky through here. I think a little contact there, Milky almost loses the car. Milky taking a tight line. I'm trying to go wide to get a great exit into the straight. You can see even with rich mix and ERS engaged, my setup just is like holding me back in the straight line. But eventually I use a lot of ERS, DRS engaged. There's not too much Milky can do. He does take the inside line, a little bit of banging of wheels, and I thought I had the move done here, but Milky obviously locks up and that stops me going past. Now at the time I was quite annoyed about that, because yeah, but looking back on it, I think it was just a mistake on Milky's part, and I guess I'm just glad that I didn't get damage or anything, so it's fine though. I kept on him, and later on in the lap in the S's, you can see I'm now behind Milky, and I feel like I get quite a better run out of these 2 last corners. out the last corner, and Milky almost immediately goes defensive. I use DRS and DRS again. I'm just desperate to get this move done so I can try and stretch my lead in P2. However, Milky, good defensing on the racing line, squeezes me out but fairly. He had the racing line and keeps the position. Almost lose the car there as I'm so eager to try and get on the power. Little look up, but I stay behind Milky for now. Not the best of exits on DRS, using a lot of VRS as I was afraid Milky was going to break my DRS, and that would be annoying as, again, my car's just not fast in a straight line. I feel like I've said that like 15 times, but yeah, gear 3, gear 2, down through this corner again, going wide again, trying to get the best exit possible, short shifting to gear 4 to avoid a loss of traction. Rich mix, ERS engaged, down the main straight, slipstreaming Milky all the way down. I engage DRS, rich mix ERS, going as fast as I can, only 7% on the ERS now. I'm really like just pulling the limit of the car. Again down round the outside, but this time I look up, forcing me to go wide, allowing Milky just to stay on the inside. And going over that curb, I almost lose it. It's actually, that curb's, if you go wide there, it's really easy to lose the car. So into here, gear 2. At this point I was quite frustrated. I was just trying to get the move done. I felt I was a lot quicker than Milky, and he just hits the wall in the S. So I see my chance and just go for it. I have a little look to the inside, half committed, and I just tap Milky's back tyre and spin the car. And at this point I lost my head. I was very mad, but looking back on it now, it was more of a racing incident, even my fault, because I looked, Milky kind of just took his line, so I don't put any blame on him anymore now. But yeah, moving on to lap 27 now. I'm still in 5th as I was overtaken by Smox and Oscar. Oscar's now overtaken Milky. Smox has caught up to Milky, and I've actually caught up about 7 seconds in like 4 laps to catch back up to Milky and Smox. So now, on the penultimate lap, I'm just watching their fight down the main straight. I see Smox going to make a move on Milky into the hairpin. I knew this would slow them both down, so I get on the braking zone, no lookups, see them going side by side, slowed them down massively. Milky almost loses the car. Smox gets the job done round the outside. Now I have a little look on Milky here, but I've decided I was too far back. Just stick behind him in the for the S's. Just stay behind him, letting off a little bit, and then I get damaged there, and that I thought that was my race over. I thought now I definitely wouldn't have the pace. I've got that damage now. I'm not going to be able to overtake Milky. But you know, I kept on driving. I was in P5. I was kind of accepting the fact I would get P5 from P10, but Milky gets a whoosh of understeer there, and I think he gets another one here as well, and he hits the wall again, meaning I get a much better exit. Up into Rich straight away, you see me use the ERS, jumping on this chance. Milky gives me the squeeze to the wall. I get it through, and here I think I was quite frustrated at this one. After a long fight with Milky, I just hold the line and I squeeze Milky out a bit, but I think that was perfectly alright. Milky has a little look to the inside, but there's not enough space, and I keep the position. And that's how the race ended, with me in P4. Milky does attempt to make another move onto the inside. I go a little bit defensive, and Milky just messes his braking point up, and I just slot back in through again. Yeah, but yeah, from P10, I would say that's quite a good race to P4. It's a good recovery drive. I do think if I hadn't have been that eager to overtake Milky and then spun, I do think I could have got P2, but it was just my mistakes that led to that. And so I do finish in P4 behind Smox and Oscar. And J-March had a flawless race. He pulled off the medium to soft strategy very well. Same with Oscar. But yeah. Anyway, thanks for watching and goodbye.